Hello and welcome. It's the anniversary here, the 10th edition of the Metagame Masters. I'm, as usual, Toffe, bringing you the coverage here. And this time, we have a very special guest. Actually, you can already see him on screen. Hello, Johnny.
Hey, welcome. Yeah, this time I join you in the commentary.
Yeah,
So,
you're like a pillar, like a legacy of the German Highlander community. And it's very, very nice to have you here, give your insights, a long member of the format, and of course, a very important contributor to a lot of decisions already made.
Stop it.
It's true.
No.
Okay, so what we see here.
First off, I'm very glad to be here, and fortunately, I was in the quarterfinals and can commentate on my own game. So let's jump to it.
Let's commentate on your game. That sounds good. We see on the left side here playing kind of your pet deck. It's
kind of
usually your weapon of choice, the mono blue control.
Exactly.
On the right side we have Jan playing more colors and other cards.
It's an Esper mid-range deck basically. So he has some control cards, he has some beatdown cards like Geist of Draft and stuff. But yeah, it's like a classical mid-range deck. And my deck is more like a tap-out control deck. And maybe we can say something about the starting hands before we get too much into the game.
Of course. We see your starting is kind of a bit expensive, I would say.
Expensive. But I was it wasn't a hard decision for me because I had 2 lands in the sleight of hand.
Yeah.
And I had three drops, and all of them are more or less good enough in this matchup. Like the 2-land Nemesis, obviously, is a very good card against blue decks. We have the Oblivion Stone, which can handle permanents later on, and the Drift of Phantasm can search back to basic, for instance, against
of course, in the quarterfinals, you already know what you're playing, so it's easier to keep some hands and some others. And Jan also has a very decent starting hand with Thoughtseize and some backup in form of Path and Daze and the Tudors, so he's very happy.
He's very happy, though the Path of Exile is kind of a mulligan, I would say, against my deck. Even if I drop something like a Jace early on, he doesn't want it. So I don't know. It's not a good card in this matchup, but it's a card nice to have, I guess, later on. I play some creatures. Sometimes I control opponent's creatures, so it's not completely dead, but on the starting hand, it's not the best.
Also, giving you the land is more dangerous because you actually use all the mana.
Exactly. Okay, we can see that I took the Wasteland with the sleight of hand. Since it gives me more options, of course.
Also, against a lot of colors, you have to hope that it sometimes just works out.
Exactly. Like in this case. There are 2 reasons. For one, why I use the Wasteland here. For one, what you just said, it can just work out that the opponent is maybe keeping a 3-land hand and doesn't have the right colors.
Yeah.
And also, I drew another land, Caracas, and I can't do much with my hand. Like, I don't have counter spells, I don't have threats. I have the 2-land Nemesis. No, I don't have it because it got discarded. So I don't have any threats. So that means I have to slow down the game as much as possible. And I think by wastelanding him, I can achieve that, and that's why I do that on the draw, even though in most cases you wouldn't use a wasteland on the draw.
Also, since your hand is not that expensive, you don't really need the mana. You're set up for the cards anyway. Okay, so we see Jan now playing the tutor.
Yeah, like 90% of the cases, it's a land you tutor if you play the tutor so early in the game.
Yeah, of course, because you don't. Usually you can wait and see what you need, but right now it's very clear that, especially with no clear blue mana sources other than the Hallowed Fountain, you need something to interact.
Yeah, exactly. And you can see he drew a mana drain, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so his hand is really, really reactive, which I like from my perspective. Like, if I would have a text import and see this hand, I would be very pleased with it. And he has another removal spell drawn, like Swords of Plowshares. Plowshares?
Yeah.
That's another semi-dead card.
There's a concept, like when you play a deck that blanks a lot of removal spells from your opponent, usually you have a very good game 1. Yeah, but exactly. your deck can build on that because the games go really long. So especially in time, maybe you just win one game.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the main reasons why I think mono blue control worked for that long, because it has a lot of like interactive spells which are not dead in most matchups, while other control decks have less problem. Like they have removal spells only for creatures and stuff.
Yeah. So Jan drew the Tidehollow Scholar here, picking something which is decent because you're not expected to get the card back anytime soon.
Yeah, that's true. And it's a really good card against my deck.
So this is basically one of the best draws because it's a threat dealing constant damage and also taking the most important card here. It's the Oblivion Stone, Jan figures.
Yeah. And considering he doesn't have an untapped land, yeah, that's one of the best cards you could draw here.
So
especially
Jan scries the Liliana, and this must be one of the best cards against you, right?
Liliana of the Well, yeah, for sure. It's a very, very annoying card.
And that's why he also chooses to keep it over lands, which are very important in a longer game. But right now he just says, okay, this card is so potent that we keep it, and it hopefully does the rest.
Especially with his hand, right? He has 2 cards, which he doesn't especially want, like the Song and the Path. I can see pathing his own creature in the future, but yeah, he's not sad about discarding them with the Lily.
So here we see also a very big advantage of your deck. You can allow yourself to play back to basics because of all your lands are practically islands.
Yeah.
And that's usually game against a lot of multicolor decks.
Exactly.
So now your main goal kind of feels like you have to find a spot to fit in the back to basics.
By the way, I want to speak about this this turn. You saw me transmuting back to basic with Drift and Phantasm. And that case, that the opponent sees that I'm looking for the back to basic or search for the back to basic, but he can't play anything in his turn 4, right? But usually I don't want to tap out in turn 4, turn 3, because my opponent can resolve a Jace or like other planeswalkers or threats. Exactly. I usually don't want to do that. But in this case, the opponent knows I have the back to basic, and if he decides to go for the Lily, for instance, he would be in really a lot of trouble because I can just resolve my back to basics.
Which gives you, again, a lot of room to play your spells, because Jan has to be very afraid of using Mana Drain and other cards, because every time he taps out or lower on mana, you threaten to put the back to basics into play.
Exactly, and that's like a semi-time walk, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's a really strong line.
But every turn.
Yeah, every turn. Right? Every turn. So that adds up, right? So you have half a time walk each turn. So here I want to repeal his color. He decides to path him, which is right, I think. So
which
denying me.
Yeah, which gives the basic. That's the main point.
Exactly.
So Jan knows now that getting basics and getting mana in particular is the most important part, because you have to deal with other cards played. It's not like you can just do something and then your mana goes to waste. And here we see, very.
And I feel really, really good about this turn, because I have the force spike right in my hand, and I know he will have 2 mana counter, and I just play the back to basics.
Yeah, it's very uncommon that there's less than 2 mana counter.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel so good about it at this point. I know the back to basic will resolve.
Given some interactions like Force of Will, but even your Daze Proof, which mattered a lot. We see Daze being in the starting hand and still didn't hit, because the only time you actually played something was the Drift of Phantasm, and this is not a spell that's being cast. So
yeah, exactly. And I think he's considering playing the Daze to get his Hollowwood Fountain back untapped, I guess.
Which seems good. It also takes 1 mana away from you.
Exactly. I was thinking because he was like saying, wait a minute, and I was like, okay, he has a Daze.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would think that would be a good turn here to get his Hollowwood Fountain back and deny me 1 more mana source, but he decides against it.
It feels like there's not a better spot also later on, because you will have a lot of mana.
Yeah, exactly.
So here we see a Ponder, seeing Kaya, Force of Will, and Spell Queller. Kaya is such a weird card.
Oh, it's a really good card. It's a really good card.
Actually, like, when I saw her in the beginning, I was like, that doesn't do anything. Like you don't get counters really. She doesn't protect herself at all, basically.
She kind of does. Like she can place her out, right? She can
Yeah,
target herself.
she comes back at the end of turn. So
no, at the beginning of the upkeep, right?
Is it as?
I think it comes. I think she comes back in the upkeep, in your upkeep. Wait, let's check.
Next upkeep, yeah, okay, that's much better. Yeah, then you can just. That's actually pretty insane because you're guaranteed to get her back.
Exactly. I really like her. I think she's underrated and underplayed in the format right now.
Yeah.
But at the same time, she has color combinations which are not that often played, besides in Blood, I guess, and Esper, of course. So maybe that's also the reason why you don't see her that much.
Also, her ability is good with creatures, which are not commonly found in those
kind of decks.
Yeah.
So Jan decides against the 3 cards he saw there, obviously, because they didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And he drew Kaya? What the fuck? Did you just do the Kaya he got from the bundle?
Well, sometimes it happens. It's either that or a Magic Online bug, which...
now he has a Maze of Ith, which does nothing, of course, in this matchup.
And you basically have to only play your cards now and...
Yeah.
The only way... Like, at this point, you're feeling the game is locked up. But what are you afraid of now? How are your...
A lot of people know my name is... like an also known name of mine is Worst Case Johnny. I'm always assuming my opponent has something to get out of like a situation like this.
So do you figure now there's a worst case?
Well, I think of like Chain of Vapor and compared with some kind of discard, for instance, because I don't have a counterspell to interact with that. That could be a line out of that. So that's why, like, I have a better spell, right? So it's not much to debate about it. So I just play my threat and hope it sticks. But I'm aware of cards he might have which could. Okay, do you see that? That's the Force of Will. Wasn't that in the Ponder as well?
Yes, together with a third card.
That was a spell card, I think.
Yeah, correct. Maybe.
I think he might have shuffled and have those 3 cards somehow, and I cut right to them.
Seems just being unfortunate drawing the same cards.
Yeah.
So but what's very fortunate is you drew a Cryptic Commander. Yeah. That must feel.
Yeah.
Now you know you have protection from anything that will happen. You can even decide to look for more cards with the Fact to Fiction.
Yeah, exactly.
And at this point, usually we say like you're thinking about sideboarding, but there's no sideboard, so you're just playing it. You're just playing it down, and that's kind of also the fun of the deck, you know, like you just sit there.
That's the thing. That's the thing. I never win because my opponent is down to 0 life points. Never. Like no one ever lets me beat them down to where I always concede before that.
So you have the moral high ground.
Well, I don't know about that. But fun. It's really fun.
Like hey, I'm not attacking, you know, like I'm just playing my game.
Yeah, I mean this fact. I don't know. I think because he doesn't know my deck list, he's just waiting to see more cards of my deck. That's why I think he still continues to play after this fact. I mean, the fact, it gives me another counterspell, another threat in form of Ugin.
There's also bribery, which can be very potent according to deck lists being played.
Exactly. He should concede if I take the bribery and play it. To be honest, like me getting all the information from his deck is way more important than him seeing some cards.
That seems very smart because also you don't even take the bribery. You want more fun.
I want Ugin, of course.
What would you guess is your percentage of losing the game right now?
I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure it's over 0, but it has to be really soon.
This is all pure gravy now. We see threats of disloyalty. We see your deck playing a lot of weird cards when it comes to defending, because of course you only play blue. So that means you have to get some different choices, which will be analyzed in the next few games you can see. And that's it for game one.
Yeah.